I mean, it seems also that you are taking care of others, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who is taking care of you?
Me.
Kind of expected that answer.
Yeah. Well, I'm very lucky to have a really good company I work for who take care of me, who do a really fair scheduling where you have a regular amount of off days. And we have plenty of guides who are ready to jump in if something goes wrong.
Yeah.
And obviously someone always has an open ear, but mostly you're also a lot of the time out there, you're on your own, right?
Yeah.
Because you can't expect the guest to take care of you because how are they supposed to know what to do, right? Obviously, if there's an emergency, then they know you will tell them what to do also with you. But in this case, when you are out there as a guide, it's your responsibility to be able to take care of yourself and handle yourself properly. But otherwise, it's on you. And then the rest, it's good to have a employer that supports you in that way. Because you know that if something goes wrong, last resort, you can call them and then they will help. And that's really what's made a big difference to me, is that knowing someone's out there who, if anything ever happens, I can call and then they'll be there.
Yeah. And still, does it sometimes feel lonely? I mean, the work you do?
Not really. No. I think, well, for the first trips I've had, a lot of times I was thinking, how am I going to connect with the guests properly? So I was putting a lot of pressure on the fact that I had to find common grounds.
Yeah.
But the good thing about being a guide is that the people are naturally inclined to listen to what you have to say. So usually the relationship with the guests kind of combats the loneliness on the trips, because you'll be able to connect to at least one of them somehow, right?
Yeah.
So no, I wouldn't say so. It also really depends on how you create it for yourself. If you try to only like be there and put them there and then give them the lunch and that's it, then obviously it's also your responsibility.
Yeah.
But if you say, hey, I don't want to be lonely on that day, I want to make conversation. And naturally, the people will gravitate towards asking you questions. They will be interested in your life. They'll be interested in the scenery. They will want to know what to see. And you can also tell them, hey, come together. I'll tell you something. So no, not lonely so much. No.
Yeah. And what you put in is what you get out of
exactly.
it also. And how is that with connectivity, like phone? I didn't check today out there, but are you covered everywhere with the mobile phone? You're not.
No. And if you go, let's say like 30 kilometers, 25 kilometers east now, out of the valley, out of Atvendalen into Esjadalen, at some point there's going to be a last part where you'll have reception.
Yeah.
And then you're done for the rest of the day. On the top of the glacier before the east coast, if it's good weather, you have a little bit of connection where usually you get some messages, but you don't check your phone on the top of the glacier, of course.
Yeah.
So there's some particular spots where you might have luck, but nothing that's reliable enough where you can actually count on it to be there for you. So what all of us get is a satellite phone. These phones have an expensive payment plan. So if you call, you better make it count, right?
Yeah.
Of course, you can also call to say, hey, I'm going to be an hour late because something happened, right? But usually you call when there's an emergency, and they are in a big, like in a kind of like small A4 size telecase, and you have them in your backpack, and you can call set numbers like the governor, the company, my employer, and everything. So in case something goes wrong, you can call them. And only if you're lucky. Like sometimes you don't have any connection. You have to have the small antenna and the phone, and then you have to hope that the connection is going to be good enough so people can also understand you. So that's why you have to keep it short when you talk about these. But no, mostly it's reliant on your own capabilities. But obviously there is opportunities if something happens.
Yeah.
Plus, there's oftentimes also other groups out there. Right. So when you're out and there's other companies, then the guides kind of try. If you're not a douche as a guide, then you try to also help other guides if there's something wrong, right? Like the other day, I had an East Coast trip 2 days ago where one of the guides, he had flipped his snowmobile. And then he was in trouble. So I just drove over and helped him put it up. Because if you are out there and something happened to you and your 600 kilo machine is flipped, then you would want help also. So yeah, it pretty much helps with like love thy neighbor kind of thing, because you never know when you'll be in trouble.
Yeah, and that's probably interesting because Svalbard is obviously not so big. So I guess people know each other.
Yes.
But then we know usually in, let's say, small town life or big village life that there's also, maybe not everyone likes everyone. So, so how does that go here? Is there, are there such things? Or do you feel it's
I usually try to stick to myself with that because I don't want to involve myself in these things. But there is definitely situations where you'd rather have one or the other person there, and then you prefer to have this person over the other one nearby. Of course, I mean, some people behave differently than others. Then it quickly gets known when someone breaks the rules, someone continually misbehaves when they're working, and you kind of understand that, oh, it was that person again, and it was that person again who did it. So obviously, when you encounter that for the first time, you think that that's just a common occurrence, or like this is just a one-time mistake. But when then it kind of becomes known around town that this person doesn't do such a good job, then it quickly kind of spreads, right? Because people are very particular also here about the environment, about the wildlife and everything. So if you see a boat drive too close to a conservation area for birds, you'll know that people will get the word around really fast. If there's a person who drives too close to the polar bears too many times, then this is usually known quite fast. So, and people will watch, when there's like 5 groups out, then people will try and see other groups. Maybe then, you'll keep an eye on each other, not only on a good way. So sometimes that you feel a little bit like you're a bit like on a stage, but I mean, I think that's just part of the job.
Yeah, so. And part of the place. But let's talk about the place. So it is magical for me, but I obviously don't live here like you do. So how has it been for you in that more than a year? I mean, how is it feeling to live here?
I always say that when I came here first, it was hard to kind of make connections because if you don't work, like the first 2 weeks when I came here last year, I wasn't working yet. So I just want to kind of get into the role of what it is to live here.
Yeah.
So that was really tough making any connections with people. So the main thing that you have to have here when you go, you have to have a job, at least one. Some people have 2 jobs. Some people work as waiters or waitresses in 2 restaurants, different shifts. Because if you don't have anything to do here, you'll go crazy. Because if you can't get out, like I can take a snowmobile, I can go out if I want, and I can ask for the necessary equipment from my employer, and they will hopefully say yes. But otherwise, if you work in like any kind of customer service industry, you really are kind of locked in, right?
Yeah.
So you have to make sure that you kind of get some sort of, find a way to clear your head. Right. I work out every time I have off, for example, or when I can. And then obviously I'm out in the field a lot when I guide. So, but living here really depends a lot on having a job that keeps you busy. Otherwise you go crazy.
Because it's limited.
Too confined.
Right. Yeah.
You can't just take a car and drive somewhere. You can't just go to McDonald's or to go to a cafe. You can't just go on a hike. No, but like it's just an example, right? So in that way, it's very important to have something to do. And maybe all know people who know how to have something to do, who can help you do something. You can do something together with.
Yeah.
And so that is something that is, I think, very important. Because now even you have one off day now I have this interview, but otherwise I wouldn't really know what to do. Because the only thing a lot of people do here is they eat or drink and then they stay home. Because there is not much to do. And there's work, right?
Yeah, I was wondering today, and also if people would come here just as an individual, or if it's more common for people to come here with someone, because of that reason. Is that something you could comment on, or?
Well, I was here for the first year. I was here basically for the first season by myself.
Yeah.
And then Tanita came later for the summer season.
That's
and then
partner,
and then having someone here that you are close to, of course, is much nicer.
Yeah.
Because if you are here on your own, it can be really tough. But especially, and then finding someone here, the unknown variable you always have to consider is when are they going to leave?
Yeah.
Because no one stays here forever. Like I stayed here from end of January until end of September. And then I was going to leave, and then I'll maybe come back.
Yeah.
And then so you have to have a partner that supports that lifestyle. But since most of the people, 99% of the people coming to work, they will move on to another place at some point.
Yeah.
It's always difficult to kind of plan a future or like some sort of like stable relationship if you don't know what's going on in their life, right? Or where they're going to go next. So, I mean, there's the pluses and minuses, of course, to everything.
Yeah.
But in the end, having this kind of stability of coming here with a partner, of course, is much better than coming here by yourself. Because, in the end, you also want to come home and just relax,
Yeah.
And like when I was here last year in the beginning, I never went out. I never did anything. I just came home, went to sleep because I was so exhausted the whole time. And then having the ability to spend these hours that you're home with someone is great.
Yeah.
Because it makes everything a little bit more relaxed and helps you like kind of unplug your head for a few hours.
Yeah. We say it's also for mental health. It's very important to have social contacts, good social contacts.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nourishing.
Yes.